But that's going to be the quickest way for you to find out when the course is actually available as an e-book and also as a physical copy. Okay? We need to go to the presentation now, I think.
You know, one of the things that people have asked us has been, you know, have we lost vision for marriage? And the answer is absolutely not. We are absolutely passionate about marriage, and one of the reasons for reaching out to singles is that passion. Because the more that we've worked with marriages, and I'm sure a lot of you are feeling the same, the more that we discover that some of the issues that people are dealing with in marriage is as a result of choices and decisions that they made when they were single. And we really see that there's a generation that needs something. They need teaching, they need wisdom, they need to be educated that they can make good, healthy choices. And we know that in investing in this generation, we are going to be investing in the marriages of the future. So this certainly birthed from a passion for marriage.
Yeah. So this is what we've called ourselves. It's a bit cheesy, I know.
Hitchman, surname, hitched. And for those, it doesn't translate for hitched, it just simply means married. You're getting hitched, you're getting married. So,
and so we have a website, it's hitchedtogether.com, and again, you're welcome to go there, you're welcome to tweet or whatever.
One of the other things that we do want to say is that we are absolutely still convinced that married for life, parents for life, one for life are the best courses out there. And so we're not doing this and saying, oh well, you know, forget the last 22 years, that was a bit rubbish. You know, we wouldn't have invested 22 years of our lives in something that we didn't believe in. And we still very, very much believe in 2=1 and what it does and the impact in couples' lives. And we just want to reassure you that you're doing a good job, and it's a necessary job. And we really hope that what we will do will complement you. What we want to do is get a message about covenant to another generation. A generation who it's not modelled to. You know, there are many singles out there who haven't got both parents together. They don't know what that looks like. They don't have an image of that. And they need a role model. They need to hear that marriage is a covenant and that it can work.
So, the first point up there, we're still teaching seminars, we're still going into churches and doing, you know, things that we weren't able to do within 2=1. But really this whole life for singles thing was just an expansion of our vision and our passion for marriage. Because what happened was, as we taught marriage seminars, you know, we taught a seminar called Secrets of Success, Marriage Secrets of Success, blatantly for married couples. And wherever we would go, we'd find 10 to 20% of the people that would turn up were singles. Some of them not even in a romantic relationship. And they would come just because they had no hope in marriage. They looked around and they saw the marriage relationships around them. And there was nothing that they saw that was inviting for them to get married. You know, so they were on this path where they'd decided that all we're going to do is we're just going to cohabit. You know, we're going to live together. And maybe after a child comes along, you know the pattern, the way it goes. Maybe after a child comes along, then we'll get married. But, you know, we're not interested in that. So what we're doing now through the Life for Singles is really speaking to those young people and trying to give them a hope into how marriage can work and teach them how marriages should work even before they're thinking about romantic relationships.
Another issue that you may not be aware of is just what our young people are up against, especially Christian young people. When you look at the statistics, I always find that word difficult. But, you know, if you have, and this really is something that kind of upsets me, because I look at it and I think, what hope is there for young people if there are two Christian women for every one Christian man? That gives our young women a very difficult choice. Either remain single or marry a non-Christian. And we need to do something radical to reach the next generation. We need to be able to reach out to the young people, and especially the young men, to evangelize, to see their lives change, so that we can actually bring a hope and give our young people a realistic chance at a Christian marriage. So, there are many different reasons why this course came about. The title is Life, and it's life with an exclamation mark, for singles. Because, you know, John 10:10, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy, and that's what we have seen in this generation. But Jesus said, I have come that they may have life and have it to the full. And we want to be able to present that life to young people.
As we've been piloting the course, as we've been teaching the course, we've found that a lot of the young people, a lot of the people that come on the course, they don't really know who they are. They have identity issues, filled with insecurities. And that's the first unit. Maybe you want to say something about how it works.
Yeah, instead of it being put together in lessons, all of which need to be crammed into one evening, it's put into units, and I guess that's teaching background. Where
you're probably saying, what's the difference?
A unit is, you can split it in different ways. It's just up to whoever's facilitating the course to decide when it, you know, starts and when it finishes, and, you know, try and put the right amount of time into answering the questions. A lot of it's a discussion as well. So it's in units, it's not in lessons. The first one's all about identity, because there's a lot of young people making mistakes, and older singles making mistakes about relationships that they're getting into because they have identity issues. And they're trying to find, you know, something in someone else that they can only actually find in Jesus. So the other thing that you will be able to identify is that, just like the courses in the ministry, there's a very evangelistic part of this. It's about introducing people to Jesus, and it's about helping them to get their identities solid, grounded, that they know who they are, so that they can also then make a wise choice about who they're looking for. The next lesson is Why Am I? And it's about destiny. If you think about the number of couples that you know, and perhaps they're pulling in two separate directions, and they're pulling in two separate directions because they never stopped when they were single to find out what direction God was leading them in. And so instead of being on the same track, they're constantly trying to pull each other down a different track. And this is all about finding out the direction that God has called that person to, so that then when it comes to making a choice about their future relationships, that they're making a wise choice, that, you know, they're asking the right questions, that they're finding someone who has a similar vision. And it's incredible, actually, just seeing people come alive as they suddenly realise, yeah, God's designed me, and He's designed me for a purpose. And it's a little bit surprising to some of them that their purpose isn't just marriage. You know, God designed them for a purpose, and that purpose was good, and He's got a role that He wants them to fulfill. And so it's exciting to be able to share it, and exciting to see when they get it, when they understand something about what God has called them to do.
young people don't necessarily know how to do relationships well. You know, they don't know how to be a good friend to someone. They don't know how to be, I've got to try and get this right, iron sharpening iron. Yeah, they don't know how to be good for someone else. You know, they look at their friendships. It's all about me. It's all about what I can get from my friendship. It's all about gossiping and backbiting. And the friendships, they don't run deep. They don't get under the surface and be that person that can be a help and an aid to their friends. And so what we're trying to do through Be the Right Friend is teach them what a friendship actually means, and that they need to have people in their life that are those close people, as Richard was talking about earlier. Those close people within their lives that will challenge them to be better than they are now, that will speak into their lives. And so through Be the Right Friend, we're encouraging them to actually look at the way they are. Is it all about myself? Or am I trying to be a good friend to other people as well? And from, if they get these basic relationships right, very often they're not getting marriage right, they're not getting romantic relationships right, because they don't know the basics about friendship anymore.
The statistics with regard to loneliness are actually quite shocking. It used to be that, you would consider loneliness to be an issue that people had in their old age. But actually, the stats for Britain are that the 18 to 35-year-olds are the loneliest. I'm having a real problem today.
It's because you're Russian.
In all of our society. And that, when we look at how God designed us, and God said it's not good for man to be alone. He doesn't want us to be alone in a crowded room. He doesn't want us to be alone in our marriage, but we need to learn how to do friendships well. So it's about being the right friend. It's also about choosing the right friends and actually realizing that they do have a choice. A lot of people are taken off track by the friendships and the friendship groups. And, if... I'm going to use that old analogy, about which pond are you fishing in? Sometimes people are surprised about the type of relationship they get into, but you think, well, wait a second, which pond were you fishing in? What was your friendship group? How did you get to know that person? And so it's really a challenge to say, you've got a choice. You don't just have to fall into friendships. You don't just have to fall in with the wrong crowd. You can choose to do this differently. The result of that particular unit, we had an amazing time with an amazing group of people, but they were actually asking the difficult questions, saying, I've got some wrong friendships, how do I change that? How do I get out of those friendships? And how do I choose good friends? Where do I find them? And so that unit is all about that.
The next one, when I think about my daughters, and when I listen to Elaine's stories as well about when she was growing up, they have these lists, about who they're going to marry and what they're going to be like, and they have to be this tall and blonde hair. They have to be this tall and have blonde hair and blue eyes. And it's all about finding the right one and defining the right one. Well, this sort of turns the whole thing on its head, and it's getting them to ask themselves, are they the right one? Are they someone that someone would like to marry? What are you like as a person? Are you very nice as a person? Or are you very high maintenance?
Aaron calls this the apple lesson because I seem to go a little bit overboard on the illustrations. But I think it says it all, doesn't it? Which one?
Get them to identify themselves. And to bring to God the things that they identify in themselves that need to be changed, so that they will become the right one, someone that someone would want to marry someday.
Okay. So the next one, we go from be the right one to choose the right one. And all joking aside about lists, because we've actually really got to the root, which is you need to find someone who is pliable in God's hands, someone who's teachable, someone who has the fruit of the Spirit in their life. That's the bottom line with the list. But many years ago, Erin said to me, I'm praying for a husband, and said, okay, yeah.
How old was
so, she was really tiny, 5, 6, something like that. I said, really? What are you praying for? And she said, I'm praying for someone to be afraid of heights. And she said, a husband who's afraid of heights, why? She says, because I want the top bunk. Well, in January she's marrying Jonathan, and Jonathan is not afraid of heights.
He's probably
not at all. But it's actually, you know, sometimes people have lists they aren't even aware of, and they're ridiculous. And they're really missing some very good, genuine people who would make excellent potential husbands or wives. And we're just saying, you know, don't look at that. What does God say? Where character is more important than personality. Character is like the backbone.
Yeah.
Personality is just the adornment.
Your personality can't be wrong. You know, it's not wrong to be an introvert like I am. It's not wrong to be an extrovert. But your character can be wrong. Yeah, it can be. You can have an ungodly character. You can't have an ungodly personality. Yeah, whether you're charismatic or you're introverted, that can't be wrong. Yeah. This next one is the dating game. It's not to say that dating is a game. You know, it's just going off the title of that old show. But it's encouraging people to not get into dating as a mechanism for getting to know someone. Yeah, to know if you're compatible with someone. It shouldn't really come from dating. It shouldn't be in that romantic relationship. Because once it becomes romantic, all of the hormones fire off and your judgment is clouded. Better to start dating someone after you've got to know them as a friend. And you know what they're like through the highs, through the lows. Are they selfish? How do they treat their family? We talk to people and we say, find out what they're like with their family, because, especially talking to the girls, if he treats his mother like she's some sort of hotel maid, that's how he's going to treat you when he gets familiar with you. When everything settles down and everything becomes normal, you'll be treated the same sort of way. How does she treat her family? Is she someone that's demanding? Is she the prima donna? Demanding everything from the family? Is she demanding to be served? Because that's the role you're going to have to play. So it's get to know someone through all their walks of life, through all of their emotions, through all of their ups and their downs. And if you still like what you see in them, well then think about moving on into a romantic relationship.
We had a pilot course in Hungary, and we were told that there were going to be between 8 and 12 people coming every week. And we thought, okay, that's good. Yeah, that's about right for a group discussion. And so because we were told that, we decided we won't do a formal sign-up or anything like that. We'll just take it as it comes, be really flexible and see how it works. It's going to be a good tester. Week 1, 36 people crammed into a small flat. Relationships are something that people are interested in. They really, really want to learn. It wasn't just Christians coming. There were a lot of people coming who were non-Christian background and had no faith in God, but they came. When it came to teaching this lesson, I was thinking, oh, is this going to go down like a lead balloon? And it didn't. Why? Because they could see that something was not working in the way that people were doing things in general. They could see, yeah, the way that we're, finding out about relationships, getting into relationships, that's not working. Let's find out if there's another way. And it was amazing seeing people choosing to do something a different way just because they were presented with God's word. They discussed it, they talked about it, they could see it made sense. And they could see that because we were going to the designer, that he kind of knew how things should work. And the transformations, even through exam season, we still consistently had 26 young people coming. That was pretty good. And so, there's a lot of interest. Now this next lesson actually, or this next unit, brought even greater interest. the reality of sexuality. How much opportunity is there for people today, singles today, whether they're young or old? And by the way, definition of single can be a bit difficult depending on which country you're in. We've got single and single. Single meaning you could be not married but in a relationship, and single meaning you're really single. So
Forever alone.
So this particular unit stretched out. There's so much desire for discussion, so much desire for knowledge, so much desire, amazingly, for purity. And that's the other thing, you know, sometimes we think or we make an assumption about the generations, and it's a wrong assumption. They really want to learn how to do things well and do things differently.
When we taught this particular lesson, there was one boyfriend-girlfriend relationship going on, and they'd been talking to each other, and if I've got it right, she was ready to take the relationship to the next level for it to become sexual, and she was trying to. That's what they were talking about, and this changed it all for them.
Yeah.
You know, when they saw the reality of where that type of decision was going to take them, what it was going to do within their lives, and if they were going to get married, how it was going to affect their future life together. They just decided, okay, it's not worth it. Okay, it sounds all very exciting, but now seeing the consequences, we're going to take a step back and stop it. And in my mind, that's a valid result. You know, saving people from making the mistakes that we make. Yeah.
And then the final unit is called In the Meantime. You know, some people are just on pause. They're on hold. They're thinking that life can only start once they're in a relationship. Life can only start once they're married, and they're so wrong. And it's just really bringing that knowledge of, no, you've got God. You know, God came to give you abundant life, not just after you're married, but now. And it's really exciting to see people grasp hold of that. Depending on the age group that you're working with, for some people, this in the meantime isn't a big deal. For others, the older singles, it is a very big deal indeed. But even then, them recognizing their value and worth is so important, that God has got a calling for them, and that He has got a direction that He wants them to go in. So in a sense, it's sort of bringing it right round back to the beginning again and reminding them of God's purpose. So we'll just leave you with this last slide. It's just a reminder of...
Well, let's just say a little bit about how this works. Yeah, okay, we'll put the last slide. The important thing with this course is you're not being prescriptive with whoever's on it. You're having a teaching point. You're throwing out some questions to them, giving them a scripture to discuss. And they're very intelligent, and they always come, in our experience, they always come to the right answers. Presenting statistics to them as well to reinforce the right answers. And so this is where I have a little bit of difficulty in things. I want to sort of like teach everything and give them the answers. But it's very important in this course that you don't give them the answers, that they come to the conclusion themselves, because then they own it. There's a lot more power with that. The other thing is, you don't have to squeeze it into 9 weeks. You can let it run as long as it needs to run. If you're in a unit and you've asked a question and it is really generating a lot of discussion, a lot of healthy discussion amongst them,